It is Monday, November 1st, and there's a few gaming news stories I need to share with you all today, starting with the reason why you were probably seeing Sega and Microsoft in the news a lot, and it is because they have formed a new partnership, and I want to talk through what this could mean for the future of this big Sega project. Then we also have to cover a big milestone that Nintendo crossed, and it is not a positive one, and the big talking point for today's video is why you have probably been seeing over the weekend that Goldeneye may indeed be making its way to Nintendo Switch Online, and I want to talk through the reason that this made the news and whether or not we can actually expect it to make a debut on Nintendo Switch Online N64 service. What's up, Nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below, hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. Now, as I mentioned, guys, we're covering a few different stories today, and I do want to kick it off with the reason that you were probably seeing a lot of talk online today around Sega and Microsoft, and that is because they have officially entered a partnership. And just to clear up any confusion, this is not like Microsoft starting to acquire Sega, as some people are now speculating that, oh, this is going to lead to Microsoft buying them out, and that is not even remotely close to what this is actually about. But to kick off the story, I do want to hop over to VGC and read through the article together so we're all on the same page with the information on what this partnership actually is, and then I want to talk through and speculate on what kind of game we might see come out of this partnership, as it does have some exciting upside to it. Sega and Microsoft have announced a strategic alliance around cloud. Microsoft Tech will help Sega's mission to build a super game in the next 5 years. Sega has announced it's agreed a strategic alliance with Microsoft, which will see the Japanese gaming giant develop games using Xbox firm's Azure cloud platform. The deal, which Sega said on Monday had been agreed in principle, will see it produce large-scale global games in the next-generation development environment built on Microsoft's Azure cloud platform. Sega said the alliance would form a key part of its mid to long-term strategy, allowing the business to move forward with Super Game, a new initiative for developing titles that focus on pillars of global online community and IP utilization. This proposed alliance represents Sega looking ahead, the company statement reads, and by working with Microsoft to anticipate such trends as they accelerate further in future, the goal is to optimize development process and continue to bring high-quality experiences to players using Azure cloud technologies. It added, Microsoft and Sega have agreed upon the foundation of this alliance, and through mutual cooperation, will look to build further technological evolutions with areas such as the network, infrastructure, and communication tools required for global online services being a key priority. Additionally, by shifting to next-generation development platforms, Sega can effectively adapt to diversifying work styles and potential infrastructure changes. Microsoft CVP Sarah Bond, not to be confused with James Bond that we will be talking about later on, commented in a prepared statement, "Sega has played such an iconic role in the gaming industry and has been a tremendous partner over the years. We look forward to working together as they explore new ways to create unique gaming experience for the future using Microsoft cloud technologies." Sega is planning to release what it's calling a super game within the next 5 years, according to a recent presentation. So while we definitely can't say what style of game this will actually be, we do know that it sounds like a big project from Sega, and they're trying to obviously innovate here and get some kind of game as a service type of thing from the sounds of this, probably something that they will continue to update and add content to as time goes on. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of IPs they actually select to be part of this thing and what kind of style of game it will actually be, because all of that as of right now is up for debate and speculation. But you definitely have to keep in mind that Sega has some very impressive IPs under their belt that I would personally love to see them add in there. We obviously got the Blue Hedgehog Sonic, but they also are Super Monkey Ball, their Persona, they're even Crazy Taxi and Virtua Fighter, and the list goes on and on, which personally I hope they somehow incorporate something Crazy Taxi in there. It has been far too long since we have seen Axel, the driver from Crazy Taxi, make any kind of appearance, which maybe if they just gave us Crazy Taxi 4, I would be happy with that. But I do hope that this is actually something that will be very enjoyable and something to look forward to in the future of Sega's game development, as it's going to be a big deal for them. They definitely need to continue to innovate in new ways to drive revenue, and this could very well be a big success. We just don't know what the project will ultimately look like until we get some kind of official announcement trailer. But I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below what you think this super game could be from Sega, and what you would personally like to see them deliver on, and which franchises you want to see them utilize from their overall library of IP that they own. So please share all your thoughts and feelings and opinions on this Sega partnership in the comments down below. Now, the next story I want to share with you all today is one around Nintendo breaking a all-time record, and it is not a good one. It is the fact that they now have uploaded their most disliked video ever in the history of them uploading to YouTube, and previously this was held by none other than Metroid Prime Federation Force, which if you've been around for a while, you will know why that one received such heavy backlash, but we now have a new king to crown when it comes to that, and it is none other than the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack overview trailer, which of course did revealed the pricing structure for this service. And I want to briefly talk about this again, because obviously we have covered it numerous times here on the channel, and there is a very split audience right now with people who are willing to sign up for the service and give it a chance and people who are not. And I totally understand both sides of the argument, but there is officially 128,000 people who have disliked this video. Of course, you have to keep in mind that it is at 1.2 million total views, and that absolutely means that people are still watching this trailer whether they are happy with it or not. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if Nintendo gets enough subscribers, they are not going to be shook by this dislike ratio at all. And I do think they need to add more value to the service to justify what they are talking, and especially fix some of the initial issues that are coming out with N64 emulation and input lag, and just them not being all the best versions of these ROMs that we have seen even on things in the past, such as the Wii Virtual Console. Like, definitely Nintendo needs to put in more work to this service to make it worth it. But the thing about Nintendo is they love to stick to their guns, keep their head down, and just continue along regardless of fan reaction. And I don't think that even while 128,000 dislikes is definitely a loud audience speaking out against the price point of this service, ultimately my theory is Nintendo's not going to bend. They're not going to change their strategy. And what I hope we actually see come from this is just maybe more value added, whether that be through multiple DLC packs that come along with, like, let's just throw us Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC in case if anybody doesn't have that out there. Let's also include the Breath of the Wild DLC. Maybe you could even include something like a Smash Fighter Pack DLC, but regardless, they need to build the service out overall to justify their asking price, in my opinion, and that needs to include a bunch of good N64 classics. They need to get to that 38 number that we know is at least in the code for the service as soon as possible, and we also need to see them stick to a consistent update schedule to change a lot of fans' minds. But the thing you have to keep in mind with Nintendo is that there is a very vocal minority online that speaks out against this stuff, and then there's a ton of younger kids or just people who are living their lives who want to play these games regardless, and they don't have the time to even comment or speak out about things like this to begin with, and they're still going to subscribe to the service. And at the end of the day, if Nintendo is getting their asking price in large quantities, they will not have to shift their strategy whatsoever. So again, that's just my 2 cents on this whole deal. I do know that obviously it's never fun to talk about bad decisions that Nintendo make, but they do make them from time to time, and this online service pricing point does seem to be one of their biggest missteps that we've seen them do in quite some time. But now we just have to talk about how they can course correct it and continue to add value to sell the service to new people. And one of the ways might also be maybe one day adding in a monthly tier price, because it is kind of crazy in my opinion that they're asking you for the full year up front when we have no clue how consistent the service is going to be as a whole, and we don't have things like dedicated servers and basic online functionality that you expect for a service in this price tier. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below what Nintendo needs to do for you to justify this price point that it currently sits at, and would something like a higher monthly price, if they added that in as a subscription tier offer, maybe something like a $6 a month or a $7 a month fee, whatever they would try to land at, would that make a difference in your opinion overall with what they have shown us so far for Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pack? Now, the last story I want to share with you all today is the reason why you are probably seeing Goldeneye talked about a lot online over the weekend, as we had a major headline hit on Saturday, which essentially referenced the fact that Goldeneye has now had its ban lifted of not being fit for young users in Germany after 24 years. And the reason why this is a big deal is because you essentially have to pay to have this game re-reviewed early. I guess it does happen automatically after 25 years, but this happened at that year 24, and somebody from Nintendo's office did have to contact the authorities that had this ban in place to have the game re-reviewed. And of course you have to pay for a service like that, so why would they do this if they're not planning something very soon with Goldeneye? So to start off this conversation, I want to quickly hop over to the VGC article that does a good job kind of summarizing all the information that is out there around this, and then I want to share my personal thoughts on whether or not this could be a Goldeneye remake or remaster, or something just as simple as it coming to Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. Goldeneye 007 has been unbanned in Germany, potentially pointing to a re-release. The iconic shooter has been removed from the list of media harmful to young persons. Goldeneye 007 could be set for a re-release following its removal from the list of games banned in Germany. This was set to happen automatically after 25 years, but according to a name that I will not try to pronounce, the removal was at the request of someone or an entity rather than as a formality. The game has been removed from the list of media harmful to young persons, along with Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2, two games which have been confirmed to be receiving remasters. It's worth noting that Nintendo's eShop is based in Germany in Europe, and thus for the game to appear on the platform, it would have to be removed from this list in order to be sold anywhere in Europe. This would also apply to it appearing on the Nintendo Switch Online service, the likely destination for the iconic shooter. If Goldeneye 007 does receive a re-release on modern platforms, it would be a huge step in preserving the game that has been battling against licensing issues for years. This is largely due to the rights to the James Bond's license, as well as the likeness rights to Pierce Brosnan, Sean Bean, Robbie Coltrane, and more. This would either have to be renegotiated or removed from a potential release. Recently, it was revealed that Microsoft had to shelve an already completed remaster of the game for the Xbox 360 following licensing issues and miscommunication between the licensing holders and a young team who rushed ahead to create it despite a deal for the game having never been signed. Speaking to VGC in a GoldenEye Xbox interview, the canned remaster's co-director said they didn't think it would ever be released. So I definitely think this is one of those situations that where there's smoke, there's fire, because you don't just pay to actually have a ban lifted on an existing IP early ahead of when it would have potentially fallen off as soon as next year if you don't have some kind of immediate plans for utilizing that title, as it was clearly stated in the article as well that Blood Rain 1 and 2 recently had that done, and of course it's because we are getting remasters of those games that will be released. So then the big talking point then becomes, is this part of Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, or is this a standalone remaster or remake? And you don't really know the answer to that question right now, and I definitely don't. Something leads me to believe this is most likely a NSO edition, as you know, it could be in that list of 38 titles that is already in the Switch's code, and Goldeneye would fit somewhere on that list. And I also think that Nintendo wants to bring heavy hitter rare titles to this service to justify the asking price to as many users as possible. And you know, the more people they get to sign up for the service just based off of nostalgia alone, the better for them. And I think Goldeneye will move the needle for a lot of people out there, just because this was such an iconic first look at what first-person shooting would become in the future, especially when it comes to multiplayer. And I do think that having multiplayer online on Nintendo Switch Online with this game would be incredible, even though it would probably still be, I guess, 4-player split screen, which is crazy because we could have solved the screen looking issue, but instead it'll probably be left in there. That's a very Nintendo thing to do, and they will probably do that. But then it will be interesting to see for people who don't have that much nostalgia for this game, that, you know, how they react to it, because it definitely will not play exactly how you would expect a shooter to play nowadays, especially with the one analog stick that is on an N64 controller. Whereas obviously I would hope that they actually include the ability for the Pro controller to go ahead and use both analog sticks, or maybe you could even be crazy and do it the old school way that you used to be able to do it and sync up two NSO N64 controllers and hold them separately to actually control both analogs. But if you haven't played a first-person shooter with one analog stick, it is kind of an interesting experience, and it will be definitely interesting to see what direction they go here. But you know, then you also have to have the idea that maybe this is a remaster or re-release, and maybe the fact that this is moving along means that Microsoft has to sign off on it, and it would kind of be a slap in the face if Nintendo was the holdup last time on not releasing the Xbox Live remake that was done, and then Nintendo just turns around and says, actually, we want to release it on our console now, so we need you, Microsoft, to sign off, since Rare owns the rights to part of this game as well. So it would be really kind of interesting to see what's going to go on with that whole situation. But I do see Microsoft as like they would probably just take the hit, even though it looks terrible online on Nintendo's part, and it honestly is terrible online on Nintendo's part. But I do think that Microsoft is more interested with working with multiple gaming companies as much as possible, and maybe they give and bend a little bit here, and then that's their way for Xbox Game Pass to eventually come to the service at some point in the future down the line. But it's a really interesting discussion point. It's a really interesting development, and as someone who loves Goldeneye on the N64, I really want to play this game again in some way, shape, or form. And if it is a remake or remaster, it's that much better. But if not, and we can at least play this on Nintendo Switch Online as part of the expansion pack, then I will absolutely be excited to play through this game day one when it's released. But guys, at this point in the video, I really want to hear from you all on everything that we talked about today. What do you think about this Microsoft and Sega partnership? And what do you think this potential big super game could actually be gameplay wise and character wise? And then also share with me your thoughts around NSO expansion pack overview trailer officially being the most disliked video on YouTube from Nintendo, and whether or not you think it deserves that. And then the big talking point, of course, I want to hear from you guys on is, do you think that Goldeneye is indeed coming to Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack? Do you think it's getting a remake or remaster, or do you think that this is something that was done for something down the line that we maybe will not see Goldeneye come around the corner anytime soon due to licensing issues and things like that? So I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics, so make sure you share your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.